go ahead and get started. Trust that everyone, but congratulations, 50 years is 50 years.
Yep.
And I have to agree with you. Putting up with you, we all need a reward. But and that's for anybody who's been married for a little while. So not just you, but all of us.
Yeah.
But again, it's good.
I put up with it for 5. Don't I get an honorable mention?
Is Griff on?
I'm here.
Okay, I don't see you on here. But listen, we have everyone here. We're certainly thankful. It's a good spirited day. It's a beautiful day. So we are here where we are for a purpose and for a reason. So I am calling the meeting to order. As we all know, this is the work session. No action is taken. It's in preparation for tomorrow, and we will continue to go into our agenda for tomorrow. So with that, the meeting is called to order. And at this time, I'd like to call on Councilman Gordy to lead us with the invocation. Councilman Gordy.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings you provide us. We thank you for daily providing us and covering us with your mercy and your grace, Lord. I just thank you for each and every person here at this meeting today, Father, and the role that they play in providing for our community and our citizens, Lord. I just pray that as we start discussing the city business, Lord, that we just keep an open mind, open hearts, that anything that we do, Lord, we're doing for you, Lord, and for your glory and for the will that you provide for us, Lord. I just pray for the citizens, our city, Lord, just guide us in the right direction, Father, in everything that we do. So in Jesus' name I pray all of these things. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Councilman Gordon. So we will proceed on. We have no one at this time that would like to address council. So we will get into the planning commission. Angel?
Yes, sir. We had 2 items on the agenda. We had a tabled item from the March the 23rd, 2021 meeting. It was an approval of administrative replat 3.01 plus or minus acres located at 3501 Summerville Road, Norman W. Davis, owner. Planning Commission at their last meeting, they approved a waiver basically to allow this administrative replat to go through. This was going to create a landlocked piece of property if it was approved. Originally how they had said it, but the owner brought in a contract showing that the adjacent property owner was going to purchase the property after the administrative replat was filed for or recorded at the courthouse. So Mr. Graham was also in on that, looked over the contracts and everything, but Planning Commission did ultimately approve the administrative replat. Number 7 was the acceptance of a rezone at the same location, 3501 Summerville Road, from a C3 zone neighborhood commercial district to a R1 zone low density residential district. So now the piece of property that was made landlocked that's going to be purchased by the adjacent property owner, which is a residential homeowner, we've got to go back in and rezone that portion of it to be residential and not commercial as it is now. So this is trying to sort of make sure that we've got everything in the same zones, that should be in the same zones, and keep the property still as residential. They did accept that, and we will have a public hearing and approval on that rezone at the next Planning Commission meeting.
Hey, hey, let me add to what Angel said. Mr. Davis also had a contract, an amended contract with the folks that are buying the property for the business that's going there. And it states in that amended contract that if the neighbor doesn't buy the property, they'll buy it. So we won't have a landlocked lot back there either way.
And just so everybody knows, this is it's going to be a Dollar General that they're wanting to construct up there next to the Sonic off of Summerville Road. There's a vacant piece of property up there, so this is where that would go. They do have plans already submitted to our office, so once they can get the administrative replat and everything approved, we expect them to want to start construction soon.
So the 1.25 acres is strictly not just for ingress and egress, but is it for Dollar General?
Which one, Mayor?
Didn't it say that the backside would be 1.25 acres?
Yes, sir. That's going to be purchased by the adjacent property owner who has a house out there. So he was going to purchase that additional property. But like Mr. Graham said, if something happened with that contract and it fell through, the
Yeah.
Dollar General said that they would go ahead and purchase both of those lots.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay.
that portion,
And why?
I'm sorry, Mayor, that portion gonna be our residential, that small, the other portion, right? One portion commercial and one portion residential.
That's what they're trying. They've started that process of rezone. Ultimately, it will have to come to council for approval, but they have started the first phase of that process.
Okay.
Your residential.
A question on that, please. If the owner that's trying to buy it next to his house does not buy it, it'll stay commercial for Dollar General? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. I'm assuming if it gets the far along in the process where it does get rezoned to residential, but it comes to where Dollar General has to end up purchasing it, it'll have to be rezoned back to commercial.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
And our biggest issue is we just didn't want to create a landlocked piece of property that was just out there if no one purchased it. So, I mean, because you've got to be able to get to your property, and that's was the whole point for us having to go through this long process. We're just making sure that there's no property out there that's going to hurt anybody if they purchase it in the long run.
Okay, you said last time that Dollar General just did not really need that much property, so that was a reason for that. And that makes sense that the property owner next door would like to have it. And everything goes through, it'll be fine. But if not, then Dollar General's still gonna fall back on it and just have it zoned back commercial and wind up with more property than they need. Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Any other questions or comment, discussion? Thank you, Angel. Anything? else?
No, sir, that was it.
All right. At this time, Melanie, under the city clerk, for the April calendar, upcoming board appointment and back to school sales tax holidays. Melanie?
Thank you, Mayor. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. we have our council meeting. It will be by Zoom. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the 21st through the 23rd, I'll be taking those days off. So I just want to make sure everybody knew. On the 27th, we have the next Planning Commission meeting. And also on the 27th at 3 p.m., the Alabama Attorney General will be in town to make the presentation. I just want to remind everybody, I think some of y'all have done this, some of y'all may not have, or I might not have got a copy of it, but a reminder that everyone needs to file their statement of economic interest by April the 30th.
Okay. I got a question on Attorney General. That's gonna be at that gonna be where?
Martin Idlehour Park Community Center.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Let's see, and then looking at May, on May the 3rd, we have a work session at 3. On May the 4th, we have a council meeting at 9. On May the 7th, the new DHR building ribbon cutting is going to be at 2. May the 11th is a planning commission meeting. May the 12th through the 15th is the Alabama League of Municipalities convention. May the 17th is a work session at 3. May the 18th is a council meeting at 9. May the 25th is a planning commission meeting, and there's a holiday on May the 31st for Memorial Day.
Let me ask you this, Melanie. After May 7th, do we have to start back meeting in person?
It's going to depend on right now, the way it looks. If the mayor stays with her program right now, we will, unless something changes or she extends it or, anything like that. So that's what we're looking at. So May the 3rd and May the 4th, I guess y'all could meet by Zoom because that would be before the 7th, unless she changes something prior to the 7th,
Yeah.
But the 17th and 18th, I think you're going to be looking at from that point forward back in person again. And
Just to bring that up so, we can, not saying we need this, but have a mind shift of getting back to normalcy of, how we met. So it may happen right now. It looks like it is. However, it may not happen, but just wanted us to start trying to shift our mind back to some kind of normalcy.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
And those meetings would be, right now, they're scheduled for the Martin Idlehour Park Community Center, except for the one in June and the one in September that travel around.
Mhm.
On the board appointments, looking ahead in May, we've got one term on the Phoenix City Housing Authority Board. This person was contacted by us and would like to be reappointed if y'all want to reappoint them. And then I just needed to know, y'all have a copy of the ordinance for the sales tax holiday. I just need to know if y'all want this on the next agenda or not for first reading.
Yeah, normally that's how we normally do it. So let's
Okay.
continue to do it the way we've done it in the past from a consistency standpoint.
All
I
right.
would say, council, what you all think?
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm good with
That's
that.
fine.
That's fine.
with me. Yes.
Melanie, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
This is if far a bit further in advance, but I know that we always have to set budget dates. Do we review the budget? Is it possible that on my schedule at work, I've got June 28th and 29th already booked out? Where is it possible that we could look at those dates as dates for the budget? It's a Monday and Tuesday. And it's not something we have to decide right now, but I just from a work schedule standpoint, I've got to kind of know what I need to do. And I just didn't know if it might be that those dates could be possible.
Okay. The 28th and what now?
The 29th.
Okay. And that is within, we have like a time frame right now, just tentatively set for the council work sessions on the budget. And right now we tentatively got June the 16th through the 30th. So the 28th and 29th certainly fits into that. Would it matter what, I mean, these would be all day things. Would that still be fine with you on the 28th and 29th?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yep.
Yeah, we do need to make it convenient for whomever as a council that, we all can be there. So, and we would be within the time frame, right, Mr. Hunter, as far as June?
Okay, you was looking at June.
June 28th and June 29th.
Okay, we'll take a look and make sure, yeah. Let's make
Okay.
sure, let's take a look at what we have so I can make sure everything's gonna be in, yeah. It's, okay, no problem, we'll take a look at it and make sure.
Okay. So,
And I can adjust if I need to. I was just throwing those dates out there because those are the ones I always book out 2 or 3 days in advance, just so, because I know we're going to need them somewhere in that time frame. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
Thanks, Griff. We'll look at it, Melanie. Thank you, Mr. Hunter.
yeah,
Okay.
All right, Melanie, anything else?
No, sir. That was it. Thank you.
Council, any questions or any other comments? All right. So if that's not anything else, we'll proceed on and
Let's have one,
go ahead.
Mayor. Hey, since Melanie was given those dates, it had been a while since we received notice from Dr. Rossa Mims over at Troy University. I was going to ask if she could reach out to her and see if I can get on a calendar. You open it to everyone. She had reached out some time ago, and I haven't had the opportunity to respond and kind of lost track of the notice that was given. So, Melanie, if it's possible, will you please reach out to her and see if her schedule will allow me to meet, and of course, open it up to the council, really.
Yes, ma'am. I'll reach out and let y'all know.
Thank you, Ms. Melanie.
Yes.
Mayor, I have one more thing before we get into the council agenda. Todd, I was at Coach Pitchfield's Saturday. My kids had games, and I noticed on the lower fields, fields 5 and 6, in that little grassy area between those fields and the upper fields, there was a little hole that it still got grass in it, but there's a little dip. And in a 5-minute time frame that I was standing there, I saw 2 people step in it and almost twist their ankles. I didn't know if it was something that we could get filled just so from a liability standpoint, we don't have somebody walking through there and
Mhm.
getting hurt.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll take care of it, Chris.
Okay, thank you.
all right. Thank you, Ms. Carter. Thank you, Griff. Anything else, council, before we get into the agenda? All right, all minds are clear. So we're gonna go ahead and proceed on with the agenda tomorrow. As Ms. Lee spoke, it's gonna be at 9 o'clock in the morning by Zoom. I will call the meeting to order. And we do have confirmation from a Reverend Don Abrams from Trinity United Methodist Church to do the confirmation. We do have his confirmation. So he would do the invocation. After that, Councilman Gordon would lead us in the pledge to the flag. And as you see over my left shoulder is the flag. And so he will lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance. We do not, council, we do not have any presentations or proclamations. So we will get into our agenda under the city clerk council. Since we were all at the last meeting, I will ask for a motion and approval to approve the regular scheduled meeting minutes for the April the 5th work session, as well as April the 6th council meeting. And we will take those in one vote if that's the pleasure of the council.
That's
Okay?
good. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we will proceed on the city council in between, as I always say here and yonder. If something comes up, will be the time where we can discuss it for unfinished business. But after that, we will proceed into our resolutions and under administration. It is a resolution number 2021-69 to be ratified in reference to opposing House Bill 220. We'll ask the clerk to read that, and we'll ask for a motion to ratify for approval and also second. Any questions or comments or discussion? Okay. There's not any. Also proceeding on, I will ask Ms. Lee to read the resolution number 2021-70 to be ratified in reference to opposing Senate Bill 165. I will ask her to read that, and I will ask for a motion to ratify as well as a second. Okay, council?
Okay.
Any questions, comments, or discussion?
That's fine.
All right, then also proceeding on the C, we have a resolution in reference to authorizing and directing the mayor and city manager to sign an agreement with Neil Schaefer Incorporation regarding the bridge replacement on Seal Road over Cocalicha Creek. And this is the preliminary engineer. But I will ask the clerk to read that resolution, council, and we'll ask for a motion and a second for approval. Any question, comments, or discussion, council?
Let me ask a question. Mr. Hunter, is
Yes,
that
sir.
bridge, gonna be, it's still gonna be 2 lanes, is that right? But it can be a little bit wider, but it's still gonna be 2 lanes, is that right?
That's correct. You want to answer that, Angel?
Yes, sir. I mean, that's something, Mr. Day, that we will look at in the design. It will not be any narrower. It will more than likely be wider. So it will be a 2-lane bridge, and it'll have to have the pedestrian bridge that's on it now.
And then there's gonna be the citizens be able to walk across it, sidewalk.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
right? On one
Yes.
side or both sides? On
Just
the
one
side.
side.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
And remember this on there, that this is another successful venture and doing the hard work to make sure that we was able to secure these funds to upgrade our bridges throughout the city.
Since you brought that up in that direction, Mr. Hunter, when you said bridges, which is plural with S, let me ask a question. Do we get federal grants for those bridges? It's federal help, federal monies?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We're able to go through the MPO to get funds for they're on collector roads and arterial roads. We can use those funds for those. But on a local road or anything like that, we would have to use city funds. But like Mr. Hunter said, we were able to secure 80% of the $273,000 will be paid by the federal money, and we will only be responsible for the $54,000 for the preliminary engineering. Of course, that's just the engineering of it. We've also got to
Preliminary,
go
okay.
through the construction process, which you'll be looking between $1.72 million worth of a bridge, but that will be split 80-20 also.
And remember that so far, 10th Avenue Bridge has been done. We've done the 11th Avenue, 12th Street Bridge, Opelika Road Bridge. When you get to those figures, you're looking at up to range towards $6 million. And then now this particular bridge, prepare yourself for the MPA and the information that we obtained from them a while back was that Oglethorpe Bridge, dealing with, and that's Georgia, of course, but it affects all the travel from Phenix City in there is coming up on a replacement also. So that's going, traffic is going to be going a totally different way, but we should be getting closer to that time frame.
Mhm.
Yes, sir. At our last TCC meeting, we actually discussed it. And once they start their second set of kickoff phases for the Oglethorpe Bridge, we will be a part of that. So I'll make sure we get information back out to the city manager on that.
Okay, and back to the Seal Road Bridge now. I understand that in phase one, we got a matching fund on the first part of it. And the second part of it, we're gonna have another matching fund on the second phase. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Let me also ask, after the Seal Road Bridge will be completed, just within the inner city, excluding the Oglethorpe Bridge, I'm trying to think of any other inner city bridge that has not been completed. I know the 10th Avenue, like you said, the 12th Avenue, and and you mentioned 11th, Mr. Hunter, and then we just got Leica Road. Can we think of another one within the city that has to be done?
We can have some, go ahead.
We have to have a bridge inspection done on all of our structures. It's either a 1 year, depending on what the superstructure factor is, or either a 2 year inspection. So we do have a list, Ms. Johnson, of everything that's on there. Our next one slated to have to be replaced is a box culvert up under 28th Avenue. It's not to the point now that where we have to replace it, but that would be one of our next big structures that we do have to have replaced. But all of our bridges are inspected. It's gone through the state. They sign off on it. They review it. So, I mean, it is a very regimented thing, that we make sure that these bridges are safe.
And we just replaced, you remember the box culvert right there at Bridgewater also.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that one too. Okay.
Yeah, so we've replaced the majority of them, and you'll have different areas where we have, little passovers that we have to look at, that we have to make sure the engineering check every year or every so many months to make sure that they're not. And, remember there's so much stuff is happening to y'all. Remember right off 12th and 16th, we replaced that also, that coverage. Remember that just got done too, right off 16th Avenue. Over in Poplar Springs.
Yeah,
I remember.
So it's a tremendous amount of work that is taking place as far as, what people have to cover. And back and to speak of that section, 17th Avenue and 18th Avenue, going down 9th and 10th streets is back there. We was just going over that in a meeting this past week, looking at what can be done down there as far as development, because it's kind of dangerous back there. And especially for people that's not familiar with that area. You can get lost, or you can go over a cliff back there in that particular area. So there's some things we're looking at from an economic development part of trying to see if we can get people to look at redeveloping back in that area, because it's tough if you don't know the area and get lost back there. Somebody venture off the beaten path at night, or with our emergency vehicles. If our newer personnel hadn't been riding territory and go back there in the nighttime, it could be real dangerous and detrimental to them. But as far as I could say, getting off this, the plans that the president of the United States have for our infrastructure, we, as far as a small city, we are way ahead of the game as far as replacements in our planning and getting things replaced. So we've been very successful for a city this size. I guess the next bridge that we'll look at in the future, and we did some work to it several years ago, underneath the bridge right here at Broad Street, right down from our offices here, taking a look at that. And, in the 90s, the one was replaced right there at Railroad and Summerville Road. That was replaced there. So it's a fairly for bridge age, it's a fairly newer bridge too, that we're looking at that covers that. So they've done a real good job over the years of making sure we get those. It's gonna be an inconvenience for people on Seal Road rerouting themselves, but it's progress.
Mhm. Mr. Hunter, back to 20th Avenue, the bridge around there by, I believe it's Central, right before you get to Central Furniture there. That's the bridge. That's the bridge in reference to.
Yes, sir. 13th and 28th Avenue.
Well, let me ask you another question. I noticed because I traveled that area quite a bit. Is that I know it's large 18-wheeler be coming around through there too. They are supposed to come across that bridge.
Well, you have between the furniture store and between, the storage places back there off 13th, that, they have a whole warehouse back there. So they have certain deliveries. So a lot of them have to take they get off the beaten path a lot of the time. We're chasing trucks all the time that's coming in. It depends on how they are guided in. But it's tough, but it's built for it. You have to look at the capacity. Okay. And that's what we're looking for. Some might be overloaded, but it used to have it's a load bearing bridge, and it depends on what the tonnage is on that particular bridge. But every once in a while, you're gonna have the trucks that go places where they shouldn't.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, council. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Okay, thank you all. We will proceed. Next on administration is a resolution in reference to authorizing and directing the mayor and city manager to sign the proposal submitted by Signs Incorporation for the construction and installation of a new shared monument sign at the Village of Crosswind Shopping Center in an amount not to exceed $53,875.80. We'll ask Mrs. Lee to read that resolution, and I will ask for a motion and a second for approval. Any comments, questions, or discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I read that, and could Sean or somebody elaborate on that and a little bit in depth for me? I was thinking that we did this when this place opened up down there. Now we got to go back and do another sign on both sides.
No, sir, and he should have put that. That was in there, from the original. They done the original where we're looking at the development, and it was. I want to take this over. I'm sorry about that, but Sean had been working on this. And we've been working on this. So it's something, you look in the master sublease, and we're responsible in looking at the way they put that particular sign up. It was undersized and it's not drawing the people we needed to draw. And we're looking at the development, and as they shop for more tenants in that particular area, the sign has got to be turned, and it's got to be a two-sided sign to bring them in there.
That's right.
And I know there's something you have to look at, but it's part of our responsibility. And I want to say this in looking at what we invest in this particular area. We did a lot of special acceptance for this area, trying to spur the growth and retail to get that back in there. But I guess I picture it as this. I was assisting Mr. Roberts a long time ago and looking at the fuss that we had when we had to do the parking lot at Home Depot. Some of you all might remember that. And, just talk about $200,000 investment here and whatever. It will pay for itself in the long run. We paid 200,000 people, raised a lot of sand and fussing about it. I think last month receipt by itself from Home Depot and sale tax was just about 200,000. So the return is much greater than the investment that we have to do to make sure that these things bring in our revenue for the future.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yes.
Any questions or comment, discussion, council? Anyone? Okay, if not, and let me reiterate this, council. If we have any questions that we can ask today, for the sake of time on tomorrow, let's please do so. I do know sometime we'll forget. We may have a plan to ask questions and we forget because we can start talking about other things pertaining to what we're discussing. So, but if you can ask any question, please do so today. Proceeding on the administration's resolution is a resolution in reference to awarding a bid to Malone Office Environments for white copy paper. Council, I will ask Ms. Lee to read that resolution, and I will ask for a motion and a second to approve. Any comments, questions, or discussion? Okay, if not any, proceeding on to the building department. On the A, we have a public hearing and approval of resolutions in reference to the fixing of costs incurred by the city of Phoenix City for removal of substandard structures in the establishment of special assessments upon properties located at those locations, which I will read tomorrow. After I read those, I will call for a public hearing to give anyone a chance to call in, which I will give them this number at this office I'm sitting in. If there's anyone that would like to address the council, we will afford them that opportunity. And so it will be done through landline. So I will call for the public hearing, close it out the proper way, and then I will ask the clerk council to read one master resolution. And if it's the pleasure of the council, we'll take one vote for this. But again, I will ask Ms. Lee to read the master resolution, and then I'll call for the motion in a second for the approval for one. Is that okay, council?
That's
Yeah,
fine. That's fine.
All right. Any questions, comments, or discussion?
Yes, sir. I do have a question. I'd like to ask Mr. Hunter Gill one, what the update on that old American Legion building down there? I know the grass is going up. I think you went around there and cut it this weekend. I was down there, matter of fact, Friday afternoon. What the update on that American Legion building down there?
Mr. Day, I got a call not too long ago from a gentleman inquiring about it, what he had to do to repair it and get it occupied again. I told him I'd be glad to meet him down there at any time, and I haven't heard back from him.
While we are talking about that, one other thing, I got a call and I think I turned it in, and Mr. Hunter's aware of that as well. That Dollar General looked real awful down there on Friday. Down there, I think it was Friday or Thursday. I was down there, paper, trash, grass, and growed up around there. And right there in front of it, also, I know that's on the city port there by the sidewalk. It looked pretty bad down there, and looked across the street at the American Legion building. I think some of the citizens had some young boys down there gonna go take care of that boy this weekend.
Yes, sir. We delivered a care premise last week. I believe it was Thursday.
Okay.
For them to cut the grass, Dollar General.
All right. Thank you, sir.
We had a few people to slip, Mr. Day. It wasn't just there. We had the calls up by the Dairy Dream, up by Depot, and the tire shop that's up there too, in the particular area that's down there. So we had to deliver and put out the care premises. But they I guess some of their excuses, they've been delayed with their lawn services and getting things taken care of and putting them on at first they had it on a timely basis to be cut. And I don't know if they having the same type trouble that we are having or not, as far as getting people to work and getting people to do jobs. But they are out delivering and putting things out there to try to straighten up, taking different streets at a time. We took 16th Street 2 weeks ago, Rugger. 2 weeks ago, and talked to the building department, and we was getting in certain areas, block by block. Some of them are cleaning up, and I went through there today, they're cleaning up, but Chief, I noticed we also had a house fire down there too the other night, so other day, and I seen a couple property owners down there earlier today, so we gotta watch that particular area. Yeah. So we don't want people cleaning up by fire.
oh, yeah.
So you have to watch sometime.
Yeah.
You know, you have to keep an eye. So it's kind of tough in some of the areas, but we have a couple of real areas here that was pretty historic areas that could look nice and good. And the work that's being put on those areas, we got to watch and take a look at I don't want to say this the wrong way, but just take a look and keep an eye on what's going on with those properties.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask something, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Since you're bringing up stuff of that nature, the old Holland mansion up there, I noticed that you'll see a trailer and a truck out there, look like they're trying to salvage what they can out of it. What's the time frame on that thing being done away with, since it's, burned to the point that it's burned to?
Mr. Bailey, the owners hired an individual contractor to tear that down. It's not being demolished by the city, but the guy started and he stopped. Since this is private, we don't have a time frame on it except for like 6 months. And he hasn't surpassed that yet. I will give that contractor a call when we get through with this meeting.
Yeah, I just keep looking at it just looks very unsafe and unstable the way that building burned too. It looked like it's even, they got to be careful getting in there trying to salvage what they can salvage. That thing looked like it could fall on somebody real easily. I'm not no contractor and don't know, but it just looks, not worried about what it looks like when something burns and comes down like that. It can't help but look that way. But it just looks very unsafe if kids were to get on the property or something. Of course, I know that's not up to us and they've got a time limit to do it, but I was just curious because it looked to me like they had stopped off. So, but there again, I don't come that way every day to work.
You're right.
Thank you all. Thank you, Gil. Chief, any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, we will proceed on the Engineering and Public Works Department. We have a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and city manager to sign change order number 1 with JHC Corporation for installation of an interior baseboard at the Phenix City Riverwalk Timber Bridge in an amount not to exceed $800. Council, I will ask the clerk to read that resolution and I will ask for a motion and a second to approve it. Any questions, comments, or discussion?
Yes, sir, Mayor. I do have a question on that. I was down there when the river curtain ceremony taking place, and I was under the impression that we had that project completed and paid for and everything. Now we're coming back with a change order of $800 for those strips that goes in there, which we need safety. That's one of the main objectives there at any bridge, safety. This is an add-on. They forgot to put that in the original contract or what?
Yes, sir, Mr. Day. When we used the original construction plans updated by Wright Engineering to do that project. When we got out there into the field, they saw what the baseboard, I guess it was an add-in on the original project, so it wasn't on the existing plans. So we felt like it from a safety standpoint that it was the $800 was, well needed to put the baseboards in. So we're just trying to clear up everything now. So the bridge is being completed.
That's good. I say again, it's looked real nice, and as I said, safety is top priority. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Day. Thank you, Angel. Any other comments, questions, or discussion? Okay, if not, proceeding on the parks.
I have something to say, Mayor.
Yes,
In
sir.
those projects, public work projects, a lot of the time we're dealing with bridges and dealing with a lot of things. I'm gonna break it down this simple. It's no different than going to the dentist. When you open up a cavity, you don't know what you're gonna find. So change orders and those type of projects are gonna be ongoing, Mr. Day. You're not gonna always be able to, hopefully it won't be something that's too costly that you find and have to shut it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, I looked at it and I say $800 is a small amount to pay for safety. Some kids get through there and stuff like that, you end up paying more money.
That's
Somebody get
correct.
Yeah.
So 2 things that used to hold Phenix City back that a lot of people don't realize is when people, sometimes things are within a budget. That's why I started a contingency budget along with our budget for just in cases and things that we could do when our revenue exceeded what we expected. And another thing, a lot of times people wouldn't do things and let it go by when they was afraid to do change orders because you're doing the right thing to question it. But when people was afraid of being questioned, they didn't do what they supposed to. So I'd rather for you to question and take a look at it because it's fair. We just got, it keep us straight too. So there's nothing wrong. The process is working.
The best ability is accountability.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you all. Now, council, proceeding on the Parks and Recreation Department. The first one is we have a resolution in reference to a one-time compensation of $500 to the Glenwood School basketball team. We'll ask Ms. Lee to read that resolution. I will ask for a motion and a second, council, on that. And also, any questions or comments on that? And which the next two is similar, but there's different sports. So
Yes.
let me finish some other thing. We can, if you all don't mind, and then we can ask the question. Under B is a resolution in reference to a one-time compensation of $500 to Glenwood varsity cheerleaders team. And C is a resolution in reference to a one-time compensation of $500 to Glenwood volleyball team. So I will ask the clerk to read those individually. And then we will ask for a motion in a second to approve each one individually. So with that said, council, now, Mr. Day, you have a question, you can go ahead, and if any other council member have any questions or comments or discussion, this is the time that we can proceed with that.
Well, I know it's a total. I know it's a total of $1,500, which is nothing, and we are very proud of those young folks as well. But my question coming into my mind is this: if they not these maybe Mr. Hunter and I can elaborate on this as well. Maybe I'm looking at things from a different point of view, but this is a taxpayer dollars going to I'm not going to say a private school and that's like that. I'm not going to say that because it's a community. A lot of folks go to that school as well. But is that feasible for us to do that? I mean, we send the president. We done this before.
Let me say this. This been in place.
Mr. Hunter, before,
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Day, let me tell you something. People got to understand, and I'm not, this is just a great segue that I need to say anyway for me because of how a committee, the Mayor's Ball Committee has gotten beaten up because we give scholarships to Glenwood School. Glenwood is annexed in the city limits. We give scholarship to those kids. It's the right thing to do as from that perspective. And it's just a great segue for me to say this. I know this doesn't have anything to do with what your question, but it's a good time for me to get it off my chest because there are people that are saying that we give to Glenwood and they're not in the city limits. They are annexed in the city limits. And by right, we should include that high school. So again, this just give me a time, Mr. Hunter, to get that off my chest, which I've been wanting.
Well, let's take it farther than that, Mayor. Let's just bring it all out. If right now, as Muggle Mary Mission was open and they was winning championships, which I won 2 championships there as the coach of my basketball teams back in 90 and 91. Now, if they was open and they won championships and they're in this city, they would get to receive the same thing. So I know what the issue is here. And it's not hidden, it's out in the open. But taking a look at if Central went right now, they are the public school system, that's correct. I was a part of doing the work on Glenwood years ago with the annexation. And when they requested to be put in on there, we had to do that our work from the standpoint of the fire department. Also, that it was annexed to the city. So it is a city school. Let me go a little bit farther than that. So people need to understand something when you're talking about, when we talk private or we talk Catholic school or we talk whatever, the majority of the people that live in there, because we live by, like I say, mainly on sale tax, but also property tax. Lee County, Phenix City, Lee County brings in, if you take a look, and what we bring in property tax wise and everything from there, sale tax, those are taxpayers too. Also, Mr. Day, when we receive those questions from out there, because people question me about it all the time. These are residents that have their choices of schools to attend or for what they want their kids to go to. So it's legitimate, or I definitely wouldn't have a part of it. So there's nothing wrong with it, but they just so happen to have a heck of a year as far as these championships. And if anybody else, if they were to, if same thing with inside the city with the multiple amount of teams that they have, that's why it's so much trouble now that people are not recognizing things. I couldn't believe, even looking at the NCAA this year, ever since Title IX came out, you know, I don't believe how people are ignoring certain things that they're supposed to take care of, where they have certain weight rooms now for the men and not for the women. It's things like that that's eating this community and this society alive, not taking in and trying to explain. And some people know better. They know good and well the school has been existed If you want to go way back to the history why it was put there, yeah, we know that history. But at the same time, that's not today in the attendance of the people that go there. So when we put things out there on the table, we're able to go in the direction that we need to. And look for this in the next several years. You look for somebody else to start a school up the way things are going on in our society within these city limits.
Mr. Hunter, let me elaborate further if I may, please. I'm a guy like this. I got a question in my mind. I'm gonna ask. Now, let me say this. The mayor and I went out there when I first came aboard as a council member, and we presented them with proclamation stuff like that. I remember that. Had the opportunity, had nice time out there and all that. The reason I asked that question is because I was looking at the tax, the revenues for those folks that are in the city. You have elaborate on that. You have said, made me, in other words, on my eyes, they do pay tax, although they live in Lee County, although their kids go to the school here. You shed some light on for me,
Yes, sir.
But I wanted to ask that question.
Yes, sir.
And I know what the mayor said as I listened very diligently when the mayor elaborated on that about the scholarship. That's money. Those monies are raised. So we understand that through a different organization. But I was talking about tax wise, but you shared some light on it for me. And thank you for that.
Yes, sir. And that's the way I look at it. It's more or less, let me say this. A vampire don't want your clothes, he wants your blood. You can do whatever you want. You go into Publix if you're up in part of Lee County that you're up there. It's the closest and it's the only thing around. So we draw
Go up there all the time.
amount or tremendous. See, we drawing you all the way from where you live at.
Yes,
So it's a tremendous amount of sale taxes coming from there and the amount of property tax that we look at that's paid from Lee County to the city of Phoenix City that's come there because we draw from out of the Russell County portion or there. And why are we talking about this stuff? Because it don't seem like it's never going to get any clearer in a lot of people's minds. Even when you go back to the mayor's ball, which I have nothing to do with it, but attended it. But even the part of it is, why don't you all do this for Russell County also? Well, when is Russell County going to do their own work? When is the commission going to do their own work? We work for them every day, but at the same time, extending it to that point is other professionals and other government that's supposed to be thinking and have vision to do the things that they're supposed to do. I don't mind joining in with people. I don't mind being a part of things and stuff like that. But at the same time, always getting beat up and criticized about things. Let's lay it all out on the table in which way we should do things. Just like Ms. Kilday and her group, they serve down there as Russell County Phoenix City Library. You call it Phoenix City Russell County Library, whichever way you put it. But they don't put the revenues in. Same thing with the animal shelter. Don't want to put the time in and doing things. Same way with their commissioners serving within the city, does not put one dime inside of their budget to do work inside this city for the districts that they're in and supposed to help maintain. None of them. They don't do it, and they don't want anybody to speak it and tell the truth about it. But that's what they should be doing. The people inside this city should have double coverage because their property tax is not being split between Russell County government, Phoenix City government, and the school systems. So that is the way people got and been speaking this for the long for people to have education on it and where they can see it themselves, but still yet we let it go on and continue without any type of challenge. And everybody lays the burden on this city. As y'all have noticed.
Well, Mr. Dave.
Mr. Hunter, I concur with what you stated. I'm aware of that. I've been in conversation there many a time. And when I had also had the experience talking to folks, the same thing that you have spoken a few minutes ago, I let them know, I said, you got commissioner that got district in the city. They don't put no money into their district with those that are in the city. I said, everybody come to the city. And it had been said, and I heard, I'm not going to call his commissioner's name. He said he don't need to spend any money in the city because the city take care of the area where he live at. I'm not going to call no name, but and that's wrong.
Yes, it is.
do have double cover, but our citizens here forget about that. They forget about that. And I'll tell you, I'll remind them in a minute. Yes, sir.
Mr. Day, let me say that I am so grateful, and I knew it was gonna come a time that I can address it because I want to do it publicly. But I am so grateful you asked that question. I thank God for allowing you to ask that question because I'm gonna admit this, council and everyone, it gave me a chance publicly, transparently, to get that off of my chest because I've been beat up. My wife been beat up. This committee has been beat up because we give funds to Glenwood School. What about the children? Forget what about helping the children? So I appreciate you asking that question because it gave me a chance to get it off my chest publicly. Thank you.
Mayor, Mayor, I'm gonna say this, Mayor. Now I remember this, and you, Mr. Hunter, know these folks. They say I'm not gonna help anything raising money on this event because they are giving money to Glenwood. I've heard that in the past, but things are changing. I heard that in the past. I've been on this council going on 9 years, and I'm so glad that they have a different mindset now.
But you know what? You all hadn't cleared it up. You know what's going to clear it up? It's one thing to clear it up. It's one thing that's wrong that's people missing. And in this long conversation we've had, none of us have said that. That money don't come from the city.
Mm-mm.
That's right. That's right.
The money comes from people that's coming down here giving the mayor and this committee checks.
That's right.
So what authority as a city do we have over the revenue period? Somebody tell me that.
We don't have no sense over that. No control.
If a man walked in this city right now and wanted to give the mayor's foundation that ball $2 million to split it up the way that committee says to hand it out, they could go under the bridge, they can go anywhere they want to and give that money out. That is not, that money does not come under the sight or the control of any city government.
That's right. You're right.
Well, thank you, Mr. It gave me a chance. I knew the good Lord was going to give me a chance at the right time, and I felt this was the right time. So we're going to proceed on the utilities department. We have a resolution in reference to the municipal water pollution prevention, the MWPP 2020 annual report. We'll ask the clerk to read that resolution, council, and I will ask for a motion and a second for approval. Questions, comments, or discussion?
Mayor, let me ask this. Is our plan up to standards according to ADM regulation and guideline?
Mr. Day, that's why we're going through an upgrade at the plant. As you see in this report, that plant right now is a 6 MGD plant. And last year we averaged about 5.9 MGD for the year. And through this,
will you go ahead and tell me what those acronym?
Yes, sir. That's 1 million gallons a day. That's the average of water that come through that plant in 2020. That's how many millions of gallons came through the plant.
And when we put it back into the river, it's more cleaner than when we take it out. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir. That's correct.
Thank you, sir.
What you're saying, Mr. Woody, is that we're at our maximum already. And if we plan for this city to grow in, we have to make these improvements.
That's correct. And every year the city's the wastewater treatment plant has got to do a report like this to ADM so we can show where the plant, what kind of standards the plant is in. And so we know what we need to do as a city and as a plant for future upgrades.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask a question here. All these upgrading that we are doing, phase 1, phase 2, those folks that we do business with, like Smith Station, Russell County, with that sewage plant, do they come in? How do they share in that cost?
Any customers that are coming from Smith Station sewer, they're getting billed by Phenix City to provide them sewage.
But what I'm saying, we do the upgrade, do they share in that cost as well, or just pay a regular sewage fee?
They pay a regular sewage fee. They're not paying for the upgrade of the plant.
Okay.
No, the plan is ours to be able to treat everything that they send. They have monitors out in each area that monitor what we're gonna charge them and the cost of what they use or what we treat. That's there in the place. Two things are happening here on outside of there for Sean and economic development and trying to sell this city and any big water users. We have to get that taken care. Another part of the upgrade is to stop the infiltration of stormwater into the system, because out of that 5 million that's being talking about being treated down there, they have to look out for how our system is being invaded. And that's why we're going, that's part of the investment too. Am I correct, Charles?
That's correct, Mr. Hunter.
Okay, that's a part of this whole thing, and making sure we are treating what's supposed to come through there instead of an excess of fluids coming through there that shouldn't be there. And that's what we are fighting for, to make sure the growth in industry, also big industry that's coming. And you know, the chicken plant is a big user. You gotta remember when Southern Phoenix Textile, which was another gigantic user, went out of business. And that's why we try to be conservative in our estimation of everything every year, just in case we were to lose someone, whatever, it wouldn't be so devastating on the system. Historically, we don't want to be in that part, because it could be a detriment to your income that's coming in if you don't plan for things like that also. So that's part of trying to make sure we straighten out these plants and do it.
Mr. Hunter, let me ask you this. I know in a few months, a while back, we had a program in place for what's called drain water, storm water, however you want to put it. How's that program coming in, throughout the city, where folk washing cars and stuff like that on the weekend? Is that program still in place?
I have it, yes, sir. I hadn't heard many complaints about that. Ms. Moore?
Yes, sir, Mr. Day, that's still enforced through ADM regulations through our MS4 permit. We went through that first round, where it was kind of shocking to everyone, but now, I mean, we haven't had a problem. We get a set of plans in, they've got the oil and grit separator in there. We have our inspectors that go out on site if there is an illicit discharge. So we haven't had any other problems with it since then.
Well, let me ask you this, Ms. Zane. How do y'all deal with that on the weekend? I mean, like Saturday and Sunday and stuff like that, folks out there washing the cars. I'm not gonna call no name, but how you deal with that?
Well, I mean, I guess if what it is, it's businesses. It's not residential houses, it's businesses. So
Okay.
if you know of a business that's doing it on the weekend,
Yeah,
we don't
that's
have
what-
normal inspectors, please turn that in so we can get that information to our inspector so he can go to the business to take a look at it to see what exactly they are doing.
Okay, all right.
What that created for us, Mr. Day, is the same thing that Gil and the building department has to go through. Every weekend in this city, or every day in this city, is somebody trying to avoid getting permits and doing what they're supposed to do. So they're out here trying to build things behind your back and put things behind you because they get caught all the time. We have people that don't have licenses to build in this city all the time, and they are taking people for a ride. People are letting them do construction in places where they shouldn't. So that's why we have to have this team of people that's always out there trying to patrol this. Because everybody's not honest. And we have to deal with that. And that's the same thing with this illicit discharge. And we knew that's what that would present. So everyone that we could catch or somebody, and the thing about it, they tell on each other. So that helps a lot too. But that's what we have to deal with every day.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur, Mr. Hunter. Thank you, Angel. Proceeding on the Utilities Department is a resolution in reference to accepting a quote from Salem Petroleum Technicians, LLC, to perform tank monitoring installation work on the underground storage tank in an amount not to exceed $15,427.50. Council, I will ask the clerk to read that resolution, and I will ask for a motion and a second for approval. Comments, questions, or discussion? Okay, if there's not any, council, proceeding on the Utilities Department C is a resolution in reference to accepting a quote from Brown and Sons LLC to perform electrical work on the underground storage tank in an amount not to exceed $5,700. Council, I will ask the clerk to read that resolution, and we'll ask for a motion and a second to approve. Comments, questions, or discussion? Okay. Trust you all have seen the total cost. So proceeding on, council, are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Okay, there's not any. Proceeding on the ordinance We have an ordinance to require wearing masks in buildings or indoor spaces managed, leased, or owned by the city of Phenix City, Alabama. We'll ask Mrs. Lee to read that, council, and I will ask for a motion to place on first read. Any comments, questions, or discussion on that?
Yeah, I know when, I'm gonna be straight up, Mr. Hunter. I know when the weekend, if I come down there and get my book, I forget to put my mask on for nobody but me. And I know I gotta, just remind me when I get out of that car, I need to put my mask on. I already have it on when I go in on the weekend and get my book or whatever. This is something that we need to maintain.
Yeah, it catches you at the elevator, though, don't
Yes, it does.
it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
but temperature and everything.
All right.
You had your mask on Saturday afternoon when you was going in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. Thank you, Mr. Day. Council, any other questions or comments? Discuss. Okay, if not, I want to call on our city attorney, Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. We have one claim on the agenda filed by Barbara Cherry. One of our backhoes was carrying a barrel out on the road. The barrel, some way or another, fell off the front loading part of the backhoe and hit her vehicle and damaged it. She has submitted 3 claims as required. The lowest being $1,213.73. You've got the memorandum from Mr. Woody and Mr. Spraggins with the Utilities Department, and verifying what she says happened. But I've got a somewhat of a problem with this claim, because when the police officer took her on the supplement, Ms. Cherry told him that the barrel came off of the backhoe and struck her vehicle. Ms. Cherry stated the barrel damaged the left side of her front bumper by putting a bigger crack in it and scratching the front of the bumper. Mrs. Cherry stated she had a small crack in the bumper from hitting a deer, but the barrel made the crack bigger. Now, what I would like to do, or what my recommendation would be to let me contact Ms. Cherry. Like I said, the lowest was $1,213 since the car was already damaged. See if I can negotiate an amount to settle this claim less than her lowest estimate. Because she readily admits that the crack was already there. And I just ask y'all to table it for until the first meeting in May, and let me try to work something out with her where we can resolve this claim.
I don't have a problem with it.
Council, you all agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
I read the same thing. So we damaged something that was already damaged. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We just made a dent that was already there bigger.
Right. Well, a crack is what
It's
it's.
a crack, but yeah, if it was dented the size of a golf ball, we turned it into the size of a baseball. But
Right.
it's the same dent, the same crack, whatever. Yeah, it's not a second crack, it's the same crack.
I agree with you, Mr. Graham.
And it might not would have cracked if it, from the damage of it, it might have just scratched it if it hadn't already had a crack in it.
True.
All right.
All right. Okay.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Anything else from the council?
Yes, sir. Mayor, I'd like to, Mr. Hunter, if I may, how's that project coming on down there at the public safety building down there? Is getting the chief elaborate on it, give the update coming on as scheduled?
It's noisy.
It's a big hole in the front of that building.
Yeah, there's a draft in my office, but we're making do.
But
Well,
they
actually,
still,
we're on,
they
as far as we can tell,
I
we're
know,
having our,
they took the one side, the whole front door.
yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, to answer your question, yes, we're on schedule. We're continuing to move forward. And actually, it's gonna look a lot worse before it starts looking better. We've actually got the ends of the building that's also gonna be coming off the outside, brick veneer. So they're still in the demo mode, and, once we get that demo, all the way around the front of the building, they'll be looking at, actually doing the yard work or digging up the yard work. We got to dig out all the front yard and repack it with new foundation clay to be able to build a new building on it. But we're on schedule. We had that setback obviously for the asbestos mitigation, but that's completed, and they're back into full swing of demo phase. So you'll see some more progress, but like I said, it'll look worse for the next couple of weeks because they're going to be taking off the end walls and around the back. But the back part of the T where my office is at, that's not been affected by this. We just feel the vibrations when they pull the brick off the wall. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're on schedule and moving forward. We plan on doing a little bit more PR and talking to the media about how people can still get their reports and get their get
Well,
into the
Chief-
building during the construction phase, but that's going to be ongoing for the next probably 6 to 8 months.
Well, Chief, your office is gonna, they still utilize pushing that building, come in from the backside like you always have.
Right, you just have to go around back and come in through the bottom of the breezeway. That's where the entrance is right now, once we get
Yeah.
but again, that's gonna be the next 8 to 10 months until they get the front side of the building kind of finished off. And, but we'll make some adjustments, and even that's gonna make some adjustments, because after they work on the right-hand side of the building, you'll have to come in the left door, and then they'll flip it in the weeks after that, and you'll have to come in the left side of the door because they'll be working on the right side of the building. So we'll have signage to continue to guide people in, but for the most part, we're making some progress. We knew it was gonna be tough and noisy, but it's gonna be well worth it. It's a finished project as we get closer.
Well, Chief, let me ask you this, approximate, I know not to a T, but approximately how many people the council chamber will be able to hold this time around?
It'll be, actually, I think it's 180 for the council chambers, and the courtroom will hold 200, I think. I have to look at.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be considerably bigger though.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Hey, Chief, can I ask you a question that someone asked me?
Yes, sir.
There was a time capsule. I didn't remember this.
Yeah.
Older fella said something about a time capsule. Are we going to just cover that up, or we're gonna get it out?
No, actually, we've already pulled that time capsule up out of the front yard. It's still sealed.
Oh,
and
okay.
We've got it stored in a safe location, and when we get, the monument company's actually got a plan to relocate that, and we're actually gonna relocate it in that grass area right in front of the utilities building off to the side.
Okay,
That's what's gonna be relocated. There are 3 other monuments that we're gonna be locating throughout the city, but those right now are in storage, and as we wait for the monument company to get caught up, we're gonna relocate those. But just the time capsule still sealed. It's still scheduled to be open in 2086, I think it is. It's a long time. from now.
okay.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. I just had a couple of people ask me about the older folks, and,
Yep. It's still
Now I
there.
can
We've
tell
got plans to relocate it, and it'll be safe.
okay. Thanks.
Anything else, Mr. Hunter?
I got 3 things.
Okay, go ahead.
About tired of hearing myself talk, but we got some things in the districts. Tell you if any of your council members get any complaints about cars riding in a parade throughout the weekends. I have gotten information on this, and I was out this past weekend. You know, I ran into you yesterday, Mayor, but when I seen you in the location I was in, I found them. And what it was, the chief, I asked him to have patrol go through the particular area starting on Friday, and they was going through there. So they decided to find them a different route. And what I'm telling you all, they will find a street and line cars up on both sides. So anybody coming through cannot pass or go through on the opposite side of the divided line in the streets. So I found them yesterday on Seal Road and got just about ended up in the middle of some. So they started to running stop signs at 10th Avenue to get on the road. And then they started to go to the other side of the road on Seal Road between 10th Avenue, getting to the Mission. And they turned there at the Mission to go back over because I was calling the chief and calling patrol cars to try to stop them. But what they've done now, they decided on the weekends to have these parades and go through neighborhoods and disrupt neighborhoods. So we got a whole nother situation that we're gonna have to do some planning on with the sheriff department and even Columbus Police Department to round this up. We just got some bad behavior. And you should have seen the activities and what they was doing and the behavior of these young people that was doing that yesterday. I got a chance to see it with my own eyes. So that's a dangerous situation for confrontation that may take place. So we're gonna have to do some preventive measures to make sure when we locate this, that we can get them out of our streets, because that's very dangerous. And if you'll notice, I could tell a lot of it's going on because I've never seen that much litter on the Broadway extension. And Highway 80 coming over on the other side, is so much out there, J.R. Allen coming over into Phoenix City. And when you get over to Phoenix City, it looked like a disaster. So we really got some things that we have to do with people now that's called themselves gotten bored. So they've decided to disrupt things. And it's dangerous. I don't know if y'all was looking at the news, but just this year, it's been, 60 mass shootings throughout the United States. And if you go back a few years ago, it's becoming an epidemic. Really, it's a bad situation. So you have to be cognizant of your surroundings and taking a look, and you have to activate that telephone to make a phone call if you see something that don't look right, to try to give us any opportunity to disrupt it. Another thing I want to talk about that I've seen on the news, and it's good to look at these things, even looking at the program at the Board of Realtors and the Mayor of Columbus and our mayor and Smith Station mayor, and talking and looking at a lot of similar problems that we have throughout the city and the questions that was asked. So if you get a chance to see that, if you have a way to see that on Channel 7 on Beam, it was good and informative of how many problems that we have in handling a lot of the tough situations, crime. And the next morning I turned on the TV and they was talking about demolitions in Columbus and how far they're behind. And I guess that leads me to congratulate and talk to our engineering department and building department on the success that we had in the grant that we was able to secure, because even the mayor in Columbus said you have to make choices. He said, we got so much, we got this to repair, and we got that to repair. We have so much, we have to have choices, and some of the funds are poured from here to there. But we have been able to do very good over here. But we also had a list, and some people are probably gonna wonder why I'm not on this list and I still have to pay for mine as well. Maybe you may get lucky enough. It's just timing of everything. And it's the timing of the list that we've gotten and the revenue that we have to spend. If these people, some things get taken care of before that, something else be added that's in line. So it's created a lot of work, but they did a lot of things to make sure that we could get something that's done. But that's a big success in securing that type of revenue to be able to do the things that we're doing. So I want to congratulate them on that. That was real good. But as far as looking at some of the danger that's around us with people behavior, make sure that you're looking, like I say, where you're going to, and make sure anybody that call you up about these problems, that we can get a 911 call in to report this, because someone could be in the area that can disrupt these type of things, because that is some super bad behavior that's going on. Thank you.
Mr. Hunter, I like, would you please, at the risk of being redundant here, let me see if I got this correctly. You're saying they had a parade down there on yesterday?
They just, yes, sir. And I had gotten a report from Ghana Call last week about what they had done in a certain portion of the city, taking up their entire street, and couldn't anybody get in, could nobody get out. And I got a chance to see what they did to Seal Road as they was coming off of 10th Avenue from down near Meadow Lane Park yesterday. And I mean, it was, you would see the amount of cars and the passing and just going around. If anybody was in their way, older people, they just 2 and 3 cars at the time was passing. So if anybody coming in the opposite way, they had to stop and pull over or wait for an accident to happen. But it was bad.
That is dangerous. They must not aware that I don't tolerate that in District 3, Mr. Hunter.
Well, yeah, you're slipping a little bit. You're trying to take over the place. I don't know what you're gonna do about it, but I was I was trying to work. I almost got caught up in it. And you know, if I get caught up in the middle of something, it's going to be some problems. But it's bad. You wouldn't have wanted to see that yesterday. But we've got to do some things. This is the problem, y'all. Once you try to stop that and they get surrounded, the behavior that's
Yeah.
going to occur is going to be something that's bad because they're not out to act right. I can tell you that now. You should have seen what they was doing yesterday. So we're going to have problems. We're going to have some problems. Hopefully we can have some people set at the exits throughout the city because there's always, you know, going to be a counteraction towards something to spot this, especially on the weekends that we know is happening and get it taken care of. And I thought I had missed this yesterday and it was kind of late my second round. And, but I was able to see just what those people were talking about. And that's dangerous. It's real dangerous. It could scare some people to death.
Well, you be careful around there. We can't afford to lose you now.
Well, yeah, but the people, they're going to call and they're going to report. So you got to get out here and see it for yourself to put a plan together to stop it. And me and the chief spoke on yesterday on some things, and he had some people going out since Friday. In one of the areas, I got a report that it worked in that area where they was most disruptive at. So it worked in that particular area. So they just found another way to try to go somewhere else and cause disruption. But I plan to have something, or we plan to have something together to spot this out throughout the day. And we're gonna have to do this especially on the weekends.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the people are out there doing that on purpose. They want to be a confrontation made. It's what they're hoping for and looking for. But we need all the citizens to make phone calls and don't confront them because it's a situation that'll escalate out of hand real quick.
That's right.
Like a lot of other cities are having other places. That's unfortunately what a lot of people in a lot of these cities are trying to do. They're trying to cause problems. They're trying to cause an issue. And we need to stop them, like Mr. Hunter says, we need to stop them before the issue happens. It sounds like y'all already got an idea of where the people are coming from and where they're headed to. And that's probably the quickest way to handle it to begin with. But I hope the citizens don't confront any of the people, let the police off. And it wouldn't surprise me if some of them, and I hate to say it this way with the way the world is right now against the police, but it wouldn't surprise me that if they're not trying to set up a police officer for a bad situation where they can have that happen. And you know, our police, look at here, they do a wonderful job. They put their life on the line every day. And, you know, they just shouldn't have to be around situations that are trying to trap them and things. I mean, I hope I'm saying that right.
Well, you're saying it right. It's the truth.
I really believe that's what a lot of them are trying to do. They want to instigate something. And, you know, one police officer down there, you know, with 20 cars on each side of the street, what in the world is somebody supposed to do by themselves like that?
Yeah.
They walk into a deadly situation to begin with.
I got caught up dead in the middle of it yesterday, just so I could
saw
feel it. And in doing that, when I got out of the procession, really, I stood over, got out the car and stood over by Old Phenix Food, where the market is at now. And you should have seen the procession that went over the Oglethorpe Bridge. You should have seen how many it was in the behavior that they was doing as they left town. So it came over from Columbus.
That's what I'm thinking, because you said you're gonna put some people on these bridges.
So if we got cars in certain areas and we could time it out right and get our cameras set up and monitor in these different areas so that we can have lights, the best thing to have patrol cars there with lights to turn them right back around to go back where they come from. Because there's only so many ways they're gonna come into this city.
That's correct.
Let me say one thing also, Mr. Hunter, because a gentleman who walks all the time said something to me. And it may just be, you know, a few bad behavior drivers, but there's a lot of skid marks in certain parts of District 2. I noticed one just this morning going to get gas on Dillingham. So if you look at some of these skid marks, I think that could be some single perpetrators that may be, showing off, the speed of their vehicles. So I would ask that you, just kind of be on the lookout for single perpetrators as well.
Oh, yes, we have that. A lot of kids get the high performance motors, the Challengers and Chargers right now. We spotted a lot of that that's going on too in different areas, and especially where it's new resurfacing at. They're going to those areas to, smoke the tires and the whole works. But sometimes you can catch them and sometimes we can't, but it's a lot of that going on too. Yeah, surely is. So it's difficult, but I think the future now is got to be more camera surveillance in these different areas. It's going to have to be, that's what it's going to, because you can't be everywhere and they avoid people and the confrontations that can happen, because if people don't act right, they make it could turn out bad. And it pushes our patrol people into tough situations with people. And I hate to see that, but to keep I just would prefer for them to know Phenix City is really not the place to come for that behavior. And trying to keep them out, because they are easy to find, the more of us, the people that's acting this way in these so-called parades. But those other ones, every once in a while, a car is going to run into that, or the neighbors have to call to see where they're speeding and racing at in different areas. Brickyard Road is a heavy place where people go to race those cars, and we have to look out down there to make sure these long stretches, and some of them have gotten so bad to where they'll rather race in the city after watching these movies they watch, and trying to weave and bob through traffic and cause people accidents and make them afraid. We have a lot going on right now.
Well, I just want the police to stay safe. They're going to do their job correctly. We got wonderful police department, good safety people with the county and the city and everybody. But I just want them to stay safe. Don't get caught up in the situation that is enticing and trying to trap them, so to speak. And I know the chief I guarantee you, he spoke to all the officers about situations like that. And but we got to get the public just needs to make a phone call to let us know what's going on. And all of us, every one of us, need to do that. And we need to, let the proper people handle it that can handle it correctly. And it might be that, those signs that we bought with the speed limits and all that we can put around town that have those cameras in them and all for the tag numbers and things when you're having a lot of break-ins in neighborhoods and all. Maybe we can put some of those at some key locations and get a lot of tag numbers and when those activities happen, and at least it lets you know who the people are. You may not could have stopped it, but once you know who they are, sometimes I'm sure the police and all know how to handle it from there. And if they see that they're not wanted in Phenix City to be doing that, hopefully they won't just move it somewhere else, but they'll move it out of Phenix City. All we worry about is Phenix City.
Yes, sir. And that's what we have a lot of bleed over from Columbus, a whole lot that's bleeding over here with a lot of this. And like I say, in apartment complexes, and the chief will tell you, when people say someone, I guess they're gonna have to learn to give up the old ways. You shouldn't be sleeping with your doors unlocked, and you definitely can't leave your cars unlocked, because you got people that drive up with 2 and 3 people in a vehicle with them in an apartment complex, and they get out and they say their vehicle been broken. All you have to do is ask them one question. You ask them what window they broke or whatever, where they didn't break no windows. Well, they didn't break any windows and they didn't jimmy the doors. You left your vehicle unlocked. We don't live in that type of world anymore. I'm sorry about it, but we don't. So, and most people, the recovered guns that we're recovering that's out here on the streets, for some reason, people love to leave their guns in their vehicle. So a lot of people that we catch with in some type of other crime, these are stolen guns that they've gotten from people's houses and apartment complexes that they leave inside their vehicles. So they're giving the criminals more weapons to be out there on the street with. So we got to get people to listen. And I think we have to talk about some of this tomorrow as far as looking, but I don't know all the answers, but we got to try to prevent things but we got to get people to listen and stop leaving guns in the vehicle and stop leaving the doors unlocked, in neighborhoods and everything else, because you got people, the same way we on here making a living is the same way they figure that's their living. I need to hit and steal something from 3 or 4 people today, and I'm going to be sitting good for the rest of the day or next week. You got people that think that way. The same way as, got arsonists that's going around for pay to burn things down. They make a living in doing that. That's the business that they are in, and what a thief gonna do? He gonna steal.
Well, it's gotta start with yourself. You just gotta lock all your doors,
Yes,
lock everything, and tell your neighbors to do the same thing. Like you said, it's not a safe world, but if they can't easily access some of the stuff in your neighborhood, they'll go to another neighborhood.
that's
And you
correct.
got to make every neighborhood where there's no access for them. Therefore, you put them out of business.
You got to.
Right. You put them out of business.
That's right. But everybody, these things about putting that burden on the police, saying, well, I didn't lock it, but where's the police? Well, the police is somewhere patrolling. I can go out here right now and do certain things to handicap this city with certain things when that's the business you in, to draw police to somewhere else or watching pass by. I'm not going to commit my crime right in front of the police. I'm going to wait for them to go past. And then that's when I'm going to commit my crime.
You throw a brick through the Piggly Wiggly window up here and make the alarm go off.
Yes.
You go out there on Highway 80 by Central Home Furnishing and you get in what you need to get in.
That's correct.
That's what you do.
That's right. They already have them, but these days they're very smart. They already have them sitting at the furniture place when they do that. So, that's
Here's the sirens going the other way and they going in the furniture company. I mean, that's exactly what they do.
that's right.
They're not by themselves when they do that stuff. It's
And
groups up.
we need the citizens to step up. They need to step up and make it a call to 911. And that's the fastest way. A lot of people call me about things sometimes. Well, that's a delay. Call me afterwards. Call 911 first, report it, and then you can call me and tell me what's going on, because that's who's going to be going, because I'll start making phone calls. And time is of essence with that. It's all about the timing of it. You may have somebody in that particular area, but I'm telling you, with the recent events that's happened in America, it's a lot of people that's pushing the buttons. And they won't behave a certain way when the police stop them to push those buttons. And that's not good, because even with it being a mistake from a police officer, you don't want to give anybody an opportunity to make a mistake sometime, and you'll never know when this thing's going to go bad.
Well, we're human and humans make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it does happen. And look at here, the police and the sheriffs and the highway patrolmen and all that, they got jobs that nobody else wants. I promise you, nobody else wants them. And they are held to a high standard because their mistakes, sometimes can be life-threatening. But absolutely, we cannot have a society without them. So, they're the most important people, and they're the first ones, like you said, at 911. If my house is burning down, I'm calling the fire department 911. If somebody's breaking into my house, I'm calling the police 911. I don't need to confront them myself. That needs to be the last thing that I do, is have to have a personal confrontation with them. It may come to that, but we don't need people running around with guns strapped to the sides and playing Marshall Dillon and Dodge City. You don't need that either. And the police officers got to know when they come up to a situation, who the person is that they need to worry about. They walk up to one and there's 10 people standing there with guns strapped on the side.
Yes, right.
They don't know which one, they don't know who to keep their eyes on.
I'll tell you this.
I know you got the right to protect yourself, and I have weapons.
Well,
I just am not one of them to believe you should be walking around just brandishing them all the time.
Well, this is a situation, what you have now. These people are planning, just like we're setting up on here, planning things for this city right now. So if you run outside and you hadn't checked all 4 corners of your house, they have people waiting for them that can protect them. You run to this person and somebody's standing behind you with a gun. So you got to know what you are doing when you, even if you were thinking about confronting somebody outside of your house, if you can't see every side of that house through your cameras, if you have cameras, or that you can see what's going on, if you're putting your life in danger to go out there.
Better
So
stay in that house
that's correct. You
and
know,
call 911.
that's right.
Because you don't need to be out in the yard when 911 shows up, running around with your gun. They don't know who the homeowner is sometimes.
A lot of homeowners have gotten shot.
That's what I'm saying.
In their own place.
I did that one night. I was out there with a shotgun in my yard when my alarm went off on my truck. And when the police came up, first thing they told me to do was put my gun down. And of course, I'm telling them, I'm trying to find out who's breaking in my truck. But I had to stop what I was doing because I could have been the one trying to break into my truck.
That's
They don't know. They didn't know me.
That's correct.
They have a certain way to do it. So, I mean, and, luckily, there was nobody out there. Whoever hit that alarm got gone. But I wound up, looking like I was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
If you have to watch it, because the chief will tell you, I have been in that situation too before, where basically we drew on each other, another officer and myself, and shouldn't have been coming from around. You have to look out. You have to be prepared because they coming up and looking. They don't know. So it's certain things, they don't know who you are. Then a lot of times you got new people, everybody don't know who each one of us are. So it's not like they coming and expecting you to be out there.
Exactly right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hunter.
All right.
Again, council and department heads, 9 o'clock in the morning on Zoom. So with that said, let's continue to stay prayerful. It's a lot happening out there. Let's continue to be the right person. So for us to get the right person, the right citizen, we got to be the right persons. So with that said, we stand adjourned, and by the grace of God, we'll see everyone in the morning. You all have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
You all.